All right, ladies and gentlemen. So I figure I would bring a pistol that I've honestly forgotten about very slightly, and I definitely don't shoot all that often anymore, but nonetheless holds an important part of my growing time with firearms. So um, when I was a young airman, in way back when, ancient history. I had obviously moved out from my parents and I was living by myself. And a thought occurred to me, I am the only one responsible for my own safety. So I figured, man, I better get to packing and quick. So, having never actually concealed carried any kind of weapon before, I was honestly at a bit of a loss of where to start because my only experience with concealed carry was through my dad, who if his choice and selection of weapon was defined today, it'd be described as excessively boomerish, right? So I didn't necessarily want to follow in the same footsteps because I figured, well, there's got to be something better than that out there, right? We've advanced along all these years of technological development and things like that, and guns have gotten better. So surely there must be something out there. So originally, I started carrying my SIG P320 compact as my concealed carry piece, but I found it was just too wide for me. I didn't enjoy carrying it, and the lack of a manual safety on a striker fired gun left me personally a little nervous because I'm used to 1911 style triggers carrying cocked and locked, right? So, in doing more research and finding out what's out there, I came across a company called Sccy, and that's spelled SCCY. Now, I already know there's a lot of people that are going to be saying, "Oh, raising all these red flags, like it's a cheap piece of shit gun," blah blah blah. But the thing is, it fit my criteria. It needed to be 1 inch or less in width for the slide and the frame. Um, I didn't need it to be in 45. 9mm was just fine, and the fact that it carried 10 rounds was pretty impressive for the time because this was before the SIG P365 was ever a thing. So. And then looking at the price too, and the fact that it was a double action only trigger, I thought, man, this is actually a pretty good deal. So I ended up fondling one in the store, and it was certainly good enough for me. So I ended up picking one up, and a Sccy CPX2 was my first carry gun ever. Well, maybe the SIG P320 obviously was the first carry gun, but the CPX2 was my first like this is going to be my EDC gun. So I went with that. And it worked quite well for what it was. It was lightweight. It didn't mess up my skin all that much. It was small. Carried 10 rounds. I had a spare magazine with another 10 rounds in it, and yeah, it just worked pretty well. But the particular example I wanted to show, so I ended up buying another one as an example because one, they are so cheap, and two, I really wanted to see what a certain Cerakote applicator in town could do with these, or could do in general with his, shall we say, skill set, right? So I really wanted to see what he could do. And I figured if I bought a cheap pistol and he really messed it up, then I wouldn't be out a whole lot of cash. But on the other side too, if he did do really good job, I have a pretty cool looking pistol, right? So I have only retained this one from the two CPXs that I have owned. And as you can see here, this is done up in a custom blue tiger stripe pattern, which I requested specifically. Now, I feel like the color on this is going to come through a little bit differently on the camera than the naked eye. I think it looks a little bit better in person myself, but this was done by a guy named Travis, and if you are familiar at all with Boogeyman Customs, and I definitely recommend you check him out online, Travis now works for Boogeyman Customs, and he's the guy who did this. So I was extremely pleased at how this turned out. This is just absolutely fantastic. I know it's a cheap gun, and a lot of people really don't like these pistols, but to be honest, I have legitimately enjoyed pretty much everything about these guns. I have had no bad experiences with these whatsoever. A lot of people have, but I personally haven't. Out of the two examples that I've owned, they've shot just fine, which is it's definitely a high value aspect for these pistols, and that's definitely an important word to use for these is high value, right? So Given the very, very basic construction of these things, they are double action only, so they have a very, very long but pretty smooth and heavy trigger pull. So to me, that kind of feels more reliable to me. It feels more safe because there's no way that this is going to go off in your pocket or in your holster or however you're carrying it unintentionally. It's just not going to happen. So that was an added bit of reassuredness for me. Being a somewhat new concealed carry person. So these come with a very, 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 very basic 3-dot setup. Nothing fancy there. Extensive use of polymer out of this, and there's really not a whole lot to say about these things because they are so basic. They are very simple in their construction. They are, I don't want to use the word cheap because cheap implies low quality. These are good quality for the money for what they are. Don't expect them to wow you in any way, but they certainly work and they are certainly good enough for the job. So ergonomically, they actually fit my hands pretty well, and it's kind of hard to describe the feeling. They just kind of fit. I've never had any issues with these. It certainly feels more comfortable to me than a Glock of a similar size. And I know on Sccy's website and everything, when they try to advertise these guns, they have they kind of the cushion zone or whatever the hell. This little piece right back here, they say it's this whatever. While you're firing it, it reduces the recoil or something, or it changes how it feels while it's shooting. Honestly, I don't really buy into that myself because this plastic is pretty sturdy. It's not moving. So there's a lot of stuff with their marketing stuff that I just don't buy into. But shooting these really was the ultimate kind of test for these pistols and see how good they are, basically, for what you're paying. And I will say, out of both examples that I owned, I was getting right around 3 to 3.5 inch groups at 25 yards using any kind of ammo that I had. Basic stuff, expensive stuff, defensive loads, all of that was 3 to 3.5 inch groups at 25 yards, which is plenty respectable for a pistol of this price and for its intended purpose. Do I think you should be shooting somebody at 25 yards at one of these things? Absolutely not. Because I am a very experienced pistol shooter, and a lot of people who buy these things are not. So, recommended engagement distances 7 to 15 yards at the most. If you're engaging somebody at 25 yards at one of these things, either they are running away and they are no longer a threat, or you need to get a better gun. So, that being said, though, it is certainly capable of hitting a man-sized target at pretty much any distance that you should reasonably engage with one of these things, which fills its intended role as a self-protection carry weapon. So we need to keep that in mind, that this is not intended to be some super duper accurate, awesome, great shooting experience target gun that honestly a lot of other options out there that cost a lot more are both really cool to shoot and pleasant to shoot, but also serve as a defensive firearm. This one is definitely marketed towards the defensive end. These are not something that you're going to put 1,000, 2,000 rounds through. It's something that you should practice with occasionally to keep your skills up, but not a every time I go to the range kind of pistol. And they should not be viewed as such, in my opinion. So I will say that these are definitely a workout for your trigger finger if you're doing extended range sessions, because your trigger finger will get tired. I'll go through about 100 rounds through one of these things in one session, and my trigger finger is just done. It's heavy, man. It'll put a toll on you. So, having all said all of that, I legitimately like these guns for what they are, the price point they come in at, and the fact that Sccy has, in my experience, honestly, great customer service. They really do stand behind their products, and that is awesome. Despite the fact that they are low cost, economically priced guns, they just do their intended purpose pretty well, in my opinion. So, but that is not to say too, of course, that Sccy, they're good folks, in my opinion. I've never seen anything bad out of them, but they kind of wanted to jump on the bandwagon with the whole yeet cannon thing when that was a big thing, and kind of maybe still is to some people, but When the high point yeet cannon thing was announced, Sccy wanted to jump on the bandwagon, so they started selling yeet cannon marked slides, and I just so happened to have one, and I bought it just because I thought it was stupid and it was funny. So that's not focusing very well, but you can see, maybe you can see right there, it says yeet cannon right there on the slide. I think that's funny. That's cool. I think it's a nice little novel addition that Sccy did. You know, not a lot of gun companies really got into the whole yeet cannon thing and having a laugh and having a good time. So props to Sccy for having a sense of humor and not being afraid to market something like that. So I ended up buying one of these, and even though this is an aftermarket, not aftermarket, but like an additional part that you can buy from Sccy, this slide has worked 100% with the original parts with this gun. No stoppages, no problems, nothing. So yet another kind of testament, I guess, to the actual like quality that goes into these things. So, believe it or not, the manufacturing quality that goes into all of the Sccy parts is actually pretty impressive for the price. I will say. So I know also there are some folks out there who have modified Beretta 92 magazines to work in these. And from my own experience too, when I take my own Beretta M9 magazines and try to fit them in here, they will absolutely fit and they will feed rounds. The only problem is due to where the magazine catches, it doesn't lock into the gun. So if you were a more enterprising type of person, you could reasonably cut another notch into the M9 magazine body so that it would catch on the magazine catch for the Sccy pistols. And it will work, at least that's what it seems like to me anyways. So if you want a higher capacity magazine, if you want get one of those big like 30 round extended Beretta M9 magazines and try to fit that in here, you probably could if you wanted to. So just a neat, cool little like extra tidbit that you could do on your own if you felt so inclined. So that being said, overall I am quite pleased with the performance of the Sccy CPX line of pistols. I hear the 381s are even nicer than this. I have not tried the 381s because I have sold all of my 380 guns. I no longer carry 380 in any of my stashes, so it would be very hard for me to justify buying yet another 380 gun when I've already moved out of 380 as a caliber that I stock and maintain. So, but I hear they're actually pretty nice pistols, and I would not doubt it given my experience with the CPX2s. So, yeah, very reasonably priced, high value guns. I think Sccy as a company is pretty cool. They definitely stand behind their product. I have not had any issues with these. My first CPX2, which I ended up selling later, I probably put about, I want to say 750 rounds through that and have absolutely no issues with it whatsoever. This one I think has 250 rounds through it after the Cerakote job. So the Cerakote it's holding up pretty well, if you ask me. So, and also shout out to Travis over at Boogeyman Customs for doing a freaking awesome job. I absolutely love the color scheme on this. I mean, you won't find this anywhere else. I mean, Sccy obviously does not make this as a factory option, but I think this is just so freaking cool. So I have not sold this pistol purely because of the fact that it was an experiment for me. I wanted to see what Travis could do, and I was very, very pleased with how this turned out. So I know for some people it's going to be kind of gaudy, like, oh, why would you ever color a gun like that? That's terrible. That's awful. It's my gun. I like it. Blue is my favorite color, so I just wanted to see what he could do, and I've been very pleased with it. So anyway, that's more of my personal story with these guns. But if you're looking for, a really, really like low-priced, not cheap, but low-priced, value-focused option for a pistol, a 9mm pistol that goes bang when you need it to, reasonably easy to carry, although it has a very long and very heavy trigger. Honestly, I really don't think you can go wrong with one of these things. I haven't had anything really to tell me that these are bad or disfigured in some way, or there's nothing really bad about them. They're just very okay. So that's my take on these things. So yeah, I like them. Would I buy another one? I think I'm gonna wait until the striker fired version comes out. I think it's like the DVG1 or something like that. I really do want to see what Sccy is going to come up with next. I really wish they would kind of be a little bit quicker on the release schedule because, like I said, I like Sccy as a company. I like their products. I really do want to buy more of their 9mm offerings, but personally, I'd rather wait until I see the striker fired version because having 2 of the double action only versions, the hammer fired versions already, and I've kind of already seen what their lines of pistols can basically do. So kind of exhausted that option. But anyways, that's what I think about them, and yeah, I think they're just okay. So we'll see you next time.